I mean, in today's boxing world, you know, you look at the guys who are becoming superstars now. Manny Pacquiao, you know, he's got a couple losses on his record. Margarito, you know, he's got his share of losses on his record. You know, so it's not necessarily like it was with Mayweather and, you know, guys coming up and having no losses or just one loss to be superstars. You know, you can have a couple losses if you're fighting
that makes them better. Yeah, that, in the end, it's more beneficial.
And so you know, guys like Manny Pacquiao, of the Mexican fighters, I remember we laughed at him when he said he wanted to fight Herrera, Marquez, and Morales. You know, said he wanted to go to the Mexican trio. All three of us laughed. I mean, chuckled hard. You know, and several years later,
and then throwing it in.
Right.
Well, and taking a loss from Morales in the meantime.
Right.
So it's just about how you bounce back.
Exactly. So we talked about it in last show. Manny Pacquiao, Ricky Hatton. It's been on again, off again, on again, but it's finally official.
Sweet fight. It's gonna be a good fight. I don't see how it cannot be a fight of the year candidate. I just think it's two styles of clash.
Right.
I think I said on last show, I think at this point, especially seeing the way that Manny kind of adjusted to the weight, I think he's definitely got to be favored. But still, I think Ricky Hatton is a live underdog. And definitely it's not going to be one side.
Yeah, the thing I like about Hatton fights, you know, he brings, you know, thousands and thousands of fans over from the UK. So, you know, the fights are always energy filled. They're always exciting. So I think it'll be a good fight. It'll be a great event to go to. A great event to see.
Yeah. And it's what?
Vegas.
Vegas,
yeah. Gym.
So the only thing I don't know if I do like, you know, I don't know, Manny Pacquiao's. I love his style. You know, he's a down there guy. He seems to be a little bit of a drama queen. You know, when it comes to negotiating. You know, first he signed a contract with Golden Boy, and then he signed a contract with Top Rank. You know, and then the De La Hoya fight he turned down, and Freddie Roach, you know, talked him into it. And you know, this fight he said, if it's, you know, if I don't get 60-40, it's not happening. They called it off, and now 52-48.
Right.
So tell Manny to get it together a little bit. You know, I know he says he's negotiating that way, but let's get it done.
Well, with a guy like Manny, you got to wonder too, with, you know, all the birds in his ears, you know, who's really telling him what, you know what I mean? You know, are these really Manny Pacquiao's words, or is this everybody else around him? You know, who's influencing Manny Pacquiao, you know?
And I mean, he's basically like kind of like to boxing right now. I mean, with Mayweather gone and De La Hoya obviously finished as a fighter with, you know, any type of respectable fighter. I mean, his career is respectable, but I mean, he's not a factor right now amongst elite guys. He's basically the LeBron James of boxing right now. I mean, he's the man. You know, I mean, there's not really a close second in terms of excitement and you know what he brings to the table right now. So I understand what you're saying, but I also could, if he wants to try to play hardball a little bit, he's not, you know, quite there
so
yet.
you think there's a little justification in the hardball?
Yeah, I think all along, I think he was going to sign. I think maybe he tried to play hardball with him a little bit to get the numbers a little bit higher in his favor. But then once he saw that it wasn't going that way, you know, he went ahead. I mean, it's been doing it since the beginning of the time. You know, De La Hoya used to do it.
I don't mind him playing hardball. I just want him to play it correctly. You know, I think he's emotional guy. You know?
Well, I mean, really, if it really was played correctly, I mean, here we are in January. The fight is in May, so I mean, it got done 3-4 months before the actual fight. So I mean, this wasn't a fight that went into, you know, the final hour or 3-4 weeks before the fight. They don't know whether or not it's going to be canceled or not. It still was in a open negotiating period, you know, and evidently it worked. I mean, I don't know if it was worth 2%, an extra 2%, but I mean, he didn't do 50-50 like he said, so I don't know. But it's done now. Right. all that is for the lawyers.
Right.
Fight fans get to see it.
And that's the biggest money for either one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
So real quickly, we talked earlier a little bit about Glen Johnson. He has a fight coming up with Daniel Judah. You know, Glenn can't seem to catch a break. What do you think's next for him? I mean, he's fought all the top guys.
All the
His
top
problem
guys.
is he's giving them all tough fights. You know, if he lost, it was close or it was a robbery. If he won, you know, he won big. What's next for him? Is he gonna be relegated to fighting the Daniel Judahs and the kind of bottom of the top tier? Well, he's not even top tier, but
well, I think Glen Johnson is going to fight whoever he could fight. You know, if he's, you know, he's a working fighter.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I think that, you know, he's going to fight who he could get in the ring with him.
yeah. Well, I guess is he gonna get another big name in the ring with him?
Well, it's hard to say.
I don't think so, man. You know, I hate to say it, but I think that the Chad Dawson fight actually might have hurt him more than it helped him. You know, because I mean, you know, I think Dawson's people looked at it as here's a guy who's been causing chaos in the division for the last 3 or 4 years. Because you know, Glen Johnson for a while was fighting overseas for a lot. You know, he worked his way back over. He got into some big names here with Tarver and the Jones fights to kind of put his name on the map, and it looked like Dawson's people expected him to be fed to him, and that would be a good name on his record. But it didn't really work out like that, as we saw.
Right.
And he got a little bit more in the tank than they thought. So this dude isn't a gatekeeper; he's still a contender, you know. And anybody that's got some upside probably is gonna leave him alone
Right.
for at least another, probably 2 years. So I agree with Eric. I can see him doing ESPN and you know, maybe occasional fight against another guy with somewhat of a name, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see him get more big fights, but just don't know.
Yeah, he may be the.
You gotta bring a lunch with him. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe the new version of Margarito. Margarito's
Right.
getting fights now. So he's a big name.
Exactly.
He's got that money for him, but for a long time, people didn't want to see him in that.
Right,
ring.
right.
So that's kinda how
It's
going.
a hard night, man.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that about wraps up our show. If you got any questions, feel free to leave a comment here on the YouTube page. Or you can hit us up at Boxing Addictz. It's addictz@gmail.com. If we get enough questions, you know, we may do a little mailbag portion, or you know, try to do a show where we answer a question or two. But I'm the Ghetto Phenom.
Easy.
Like the
Peace.